diagnosis of basically a benign uterus. We're going to see which side is anterior, which side is posterior. So, two ways you could tell if there's the nexa attached. The ovaries are always going to be posterior to the fallopian tube. So, this is the fallopian tube, this is the fimbriated end, this is the ovary, and it's kind of cystic. It's the left ovary, because if it was in me, I'm holding it this way, this would be posterior and this would be anterior. So that's the first way you can tell. The second way is if you don't receive the ovary and tube. So this is anterior. Sometimes it's difficult to tell, but in this case you can tell. In a lot of cases you can. So the peritoneal reflection on the anterior is going to stop much higher than it does on the posterior, because the bladder sits right above the uterus here, and so the surgeon needs to dissect the bladder away, and it leaves all this is cauterized margin here. So on the posterior, you'll see that the serosa comes further down, and it usually comes to a point. And when we turn around, it does that. See, this is the serosa, I'm following it, and it comes to a point and it ends right here. And then I describe the cervix. So this is the ectocervix, the squamous epithelium, and we describe the cervix and some area of tan-brown discoloration and no lesions. And then we're going to bivalve it, and we'll go from there. So first I'm going to get a weight. Received in formally labeled uterus, cervix, left ovary is a 87 gram uterus, open parentheses, 7.9 cm cervix to fundus by 5.0 cm cornea to cornea by 3.5 cm anterior to posterior, close parentheses, period. The serosa is tan brown with two subserosal nodules, open parenthesis 0.3 and 0.6 cm in greatest dimension, close parenthesis, period. The cervix, open parentheses 2.5 by 2.5 cm, close parentheses, is tan white with areas of tan brown discoloration. Period. No cervical lesions are identified. Period. Take your forceps, put it into the os, and just cut it down like this, whichever way you feel is easier. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to start a new paragraph, because now I want to put everything in this on the inside that I'm describing in a new paragraph. Actually, before that, I'm going to take my cervical sections. Okay. So we're going to take one from the anterior and one from the posterior. So I'm going to try not to cut into this polyp, because I'm going to take it. Actually, I'll probably take it with this polyp. So I'm going to get my section out. So what we have here, so this was here like this. So this is all squamous epithelium, and then it goes into this junction where it becomes columnar, and that's the squamo-columnar junction we want to demonstrate. But since there's this polyp here, I took it from the side, which still demonstrates the squamo-columnar junction and includes this polyp. So that's really nice. Normally, since if there's nothing specific to demonstrate, we just take it straight from the middle. And the next thing I do is cut it, serially section it like this, and I like to leave it attached. So this is some endometrium I'm going to move to the side, and I like to leave it attached at the end here, just so it's not in a bunch of pieces, and it could still be put together if need be. So then we're gonna take a endometrial thickness measurement. And so endometrium is usually just a thin layer, usually 0.1 cm. And then the myometrial thickness here is about 1.6 cm. And we'll describe the myometrium and see there's these intramural nodules, which is nodules within the muscle wall. So there's multiple. New paragraph. The endometrium, open parentheses, 0.1 cm in average thickness, close parentheses, is tan, smooth, and glistening. Period. The myometrium, open parentheses, 1.6 cm in maximum thickness, close parentheses, is tan, slightly trabeculated, and remarkable for multiple tan white whorled intramural nodules ranging from 0.5 to 1.1 cm in greatest dimension. Period. None of the intramural or subserosal nodules demonstrates any hemorrhage or necrosis. Period. The endocervical canal is chevron shaped and unremarkable. Period. There is a cervical polyp, open parentheses, 0.7 by 0.6 by 0.2 cm, close parentheses, on the anterior aspect. So my first section is going to be a full thickness, meaning you have endometrium, myometrium, and the serosa. And since there's nodules, I'm going to demonstrate nodules in the same section. But what happened was I didn't get the endometrium when I was bivalving, so the endometrium is here and not on this piece. So I'm going to have to take the endometrium from here, and it'll just be submitted in two pieces. So first I'm going to thin this down. Your section should be about 0.3 centimeters in thickness. So here is almost a full thickness. There's probably a little bit of endometrium here. So serosa here, and then myometrium, and there's some trabeculations, and looks like there's some glands in here, so it's evidence of adenomyosis. And here's a lot of endometrium, so I'm just going to cut a piece of this to submit alongside this piece, so you get more endometrium. So it would look like this. And now we'll go to the posterior. So here's the posterior with the intramural nodule. And the only other thing is, so we did talk about these subserosal nodules. There's one right here, so I'll just submit that. The only other thing is, so I did comment that the endocervical canal is chevron shaped, and it's kind of difficult to appreciate in this particular specimen, but normal architecture is like chevron, like the chevron sign from the gas station, kind of like V's. So it's difficult to appreciate on this, but some people say they call it herringbone, and some people call it a chevron, so that's what I say. So first we're going to separate the fallopian tube from the ovary. So, new paragraph. Attached is a fimbriated left fallopian tube, open parentheses, 4.0 cm in length by 0.5 cm in diameter, close parentheses. Period. The surface is tan brown and remarkable for multiple peritubal cysts ranging from less than 0.1 to 0.5 cm in greatest dimension. Period. So we just amputate the fimbriated end and just kind of serially section it, and then I described these paratubal cysts, so I'm going to demonstrate it. Cut right across them, and so here's the cut lumen of the tube. Cut sections demonstrates a unremarkable lumen, period. The right ovary, open parentheses, 15.6 grams, comma, 3.8 by 2.7 by 1.8 cm, close parentheses, is tan and remarkable for multiple clear serous fluid filled cysts. So there's multiple little cysts on the surface here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut it in half. Careful when cutting a cyst, it might squirt at you. So cut slowly. And so looks like a multi-loculated cyst, multiple cysts. Cut surfaces demonstrate multiple cysts ranging from 0.4 to 2.0 cm in greatest dimension that are filled with tan serous fluid, period. No papillary excrescences are identified, period. A possible tan white corpora albicans is identified, open paren 0.5 cm in greatest dimension, close paren, period. So this is some residual ovary, and this is just cyst. So we're going to demonstrate cut section of this residual ovary, and I described that there's a corpora albicans, possible corpora albicans right here. It's just white. So we'll just submit this piece. It'll show residual ovary and some cysts. And since this looks a little funny, we'll just submit 2 pieces instead of 1. Representative sections are submitted, period. New paragraph cassette summary A1. Anterior cervix with polyp. A2. Posterior cervix. A3. Sorry, this is part B, so this is B3. Anterior endomyometrium with nodules. B4, additional endometrium anterior. B5, posterior endomyometrium with nodule. B6, additional posterior endometrium. B7, subserosal nodule. B8, fimbria and fallopian tube. B9 and B10, sections of cystic ovary.